The world woke to the news of the accident and death of Princess Diana on August 31, 1997. She and her lover Dodi Al-Fayed, son of billionaire Mohammed AL-Fayed, were killed in a car crash in Paris, when the Mercedes they were traveling in collided with a pillar at Alma Tunnel at 12:23 p.m. While Diana, Dodi Al-Fayed, and the driver Henri Paul were killed, the bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, who was the only one wearing seat belt, suffered serious injuries, and went on to live. The driver Henri Paul had stepped up the accelerator a little too fast, to avoid the paparazzi motorcycles that had also entered the tunnel, to take pictures of the occupants of the car. By mistake, the car ended up banging into one of the pillars, inside the tunnel. But then several questions emerge. One is not sure if this really was an accident. Let us find out. Alma Road Bridge has a length of 153 meters and a width of 42 meters. At this bridge's north end is Place Diana, a public square with the flame of liberty, dedicated now to Princess Diana. Below this bridge is the tunnel where the tragic events unfolded on August 31, 1997. At 12:23 p.m., Paul lost control of the vehicle at the entrance to the Alma Tunnel. The car struck the right-hand wall, and then swerved to the left of the two-lane carriageway, before it collided head-on with the 13th pillar that supported the roof. Dodi Al-Fayed's father, Mohammed AL-Fayed, claimed that the crash was a well-orchestrated conspiracy by the M16 on orders of the royal family. His claims were dismissed by Operation Paget and the French judicial investigation. It was initially reported that Henri Paul had made an error of judgment while driving, but later it appeared that Paul was actually an experienced, careful driver. There were allegations that Henri Paul was drunk while driving, but security cameras showed that he walked in an absolutely normal manner before he took the wheel. Also, the police had announced even before taking his blood samples that Paul was drunk. The car was actually traveling at 60 to 70 miles per hour, and not 120 miles per hour, as initially put forth by the media. So, it is clear that the car was not going too fast, and Paul was not drunk. So what really happened? Some eyewitness reports state that, due to a white Fiat Uno blocking his path, Paul had to take a diversion into the tunnel, and ended up ramming the pillar in the Alma Tunnel. It is still not clear why Dodi did not choose his usual driver Philippe Uno to drive the couple home, and called on Paul instead. The noteworthy thing is how the French authorities responded to the accident. Minutes into the crash, Diana didn't appear to be in enormous physical harm. Her last words apparently were, "My God, what happened?" Having said that, she was understandably in shock, and was suffering from internal bleeding. An ambulance arrived in 5 minutes, and police arrived at the crash site in 10 minutes. However, it took more than an hour for the ambulance to get to the hospital. The ambulance even stopped in the way at Gare d'Austerlitz for 10 minutes, but doctors maintain that it was to give her an adrenaline shot to deal with the dip in her blood pressure. It is also said that the ambulance traveled slowly to avoid causing any jolts to her. However, the explanation has not found easy acceptance, and many are still not sure why Diana, the Princess of Wales, had to be taken to a far-off hospital, when it was an emergency condition, and it was the sensitive case of one of the most well-known and loved persons on the planet. Reports state that the lights in the tunnel had gone off before the car had entered the tunnel, and the CCTV security cameras were also not working. A theory has emerged that the French authorities had arranged for the inmates to be killed, except for bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, who wore a seat belt and the rest didn't. Also, evidence was quickly removed from the scene after the accident, just after the ambulance left for the hospital. In a matter of few hours, the tunnel was cleaned, disinfected and cleared for traffic to ply once again. It doesn't require a genius to figure out that the tunnel should be sealed off for every shred of evidence to be collected, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. The British royal family's response to the news was not praiseworthy either. They didn't issue any official statement, and flags were not flying at half-mast. An order was issued to embalm the body right away, so that no post-mortem would be carried out. It couldn't be determined whether Princess Diana was pregnant or not, even though she had apparently confided to a doctor that she was. Theories perennially crop up stating the Princess Diana was murdered by the high-ranking officials of the British establishment, because she had become an embarrassment to the royal family and to the state. The truth? We will never know. But the authorities who dealt with the accident can definitely be blamed for incompetence. On April 7, 2008, Lord Justice Baker's inquest into the deaths of Diana and Fayed was completed with the jury concluding that the death was an accident. Additional contributing factors were the impairment of the judgment of the driver of the Mercedes through alcohol, and the death of the deceased was caused or contributed to by the fact that the deceased was not wearing a seat belt, the fact that the Mercedes struck the pillar in the Alma Tunnel rather than colliding with something else. The French investigation looked into 175 conspiracy claims that had been made by Fayed, including his claim that Paul was set up by M16, the British Secret Service. The inquiry found not evidence about Henri Paul being an agent of any secret service. Professor Robert Forrest, a forensic pathologist, said that an alcoholic like Paul, with a higher tolerance for alcohol, would be able to appear more sober than he actually was. The families of Dodi Al-Fayed and Henri Paul did not agree with the findings of French investigation. By virtue of the DNA samples on December 5, 2009, it was confirmed that Paul had 3 times the French legal limit of alcohol in his blood. The car's speed upon collision was 59 to 68 miles per hour, twice the speed limit of 31 miles per hour. About Princess Diana being pregnant, Operation Paget carried out tests on pre-transfusion blood, found in the footwell of the seat in the wrecked Mercedes the Princess of Wales occupied, at the time of the crash. This blood didn't have traces of the HCG hormone, associated with pregnancy. It was reported from investigators with friends in close circles, that she was in her normal menstrual cycle, and there was evidence she was using contraception. The white Fiat Uno, which had a glancing contact with the Mercedes, as Mr. Fayed had claimed, was owned by a French photojournalist, named Jean-Paul James Andanson, who had photographed Diana, while she was at Dodi's villa in Saint-Tropez, in July 1999. Operation Paget made several attempts to find out the actual owner of the car, but were not successful. However, they claimed that the car at the crash site was not Andanson's, and he was away from his home in Lignières, 177 miles from Paris, at the time of the crash. Andanson had sold the car in October 1997. Operation Paget concluded that it was extremely unlikely due to the car's condition, and the fact that Andanson had so openly disposed it off, that it didn't really make sense that it was indeed the one at the scene of the crash in Paris. Andanson died in May 2000, by suicide. His body was found in a black, burnt-out BMW, in a forest near the town of Nantes, near Millau, in the south of France. Andanson's death was attributed to problems in his private life. It was later reported that the white Fiat Uno belonged to Thanh, who was a 22-year-old taxi driver at the time of the crash. In 2006, Than's father said his son had resprayed his white Uno red hours after the crash. Investigations revealed that his car may have been involved in the accident, but he was not, because he was at work on the night in question. It has been reported by numerous publications that Thanh owned a white Fiat Uno, identical to the one that struck the Princess of Wales Mercedes. French couple, Georges and Sabine Dawson, returning home from a dinner out with friends in the 7th arrondissement, identified Thanh as the agitated man they may have seen driving the car. Addressing the fact his white car was repainted red, he stated the police report, "They know why I repainted it. When you have no money and you have a damaged old car, what do? The Dawsons picked out Thanh from photos which they were shown separately. Both said Thanh might well have been the driver. The Vietnamese-born Thanh has claimed he was ordered by some members of the French police not to talk about the accident in Paris. He claims that when British police asked him to come to the UK to talk to them about the crash, some French officers instructed him not to go there. At this point, he has refused to cooperate anymore with police officials or the media, and prefers to be low profile, save for his bodybuilding pictures on Instagram. Diana was removed from the car at 1 a.m. She then went into cardiac arrest. Following external cardiopulmonary resuscitation, her heart started beating again. She was moved to the SAMU ambulance at 1:18 a.m. The ambulance departed the crash scene at 1:41 a.m. It arrived at the hospital at 2:06 a.m. This meant a journey time of approximately 26 minutes. Though there was Hôtel Dieu Hospital nearby, the decision was to transfer her to Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, because this hospital was the main reception center for multiple trauma patients in Paris. The Hôtel Dieu was not equipped to deal with the injuries Diana had sustained. As for the embalming decision, Operation Paget states that the 31st of August 1997 was a very hot day in Paris. Diana's body was kept in an empty room, near the emergency room, where she was being treated. The mortuary was at a far-off place. Dry ice and air conditioning units were placed in the room, to keep it cool, but there was very little success. Diana's two sisters and Prince Charles were scheduled to view the body later that afternoon, before bringing it back to the United Kingdom. President Jacques Chirac and his wife also wished to pay their respects. The French hospital staff couldn't present the body in the state it was in, and so they decided to embalm the body on verbal authority, from Madame Martine Monteil, the local superintendent of police. Normally, paperwork has to be done first, before going with the embalming procedure, but citing special circumstances, the embalming was done beforehand. What do you think? Do you think there was conspiracy involved in Princess Diana's death, or was it just incompetence of the authorities and the mistake of the driver? Let us know your views. Did you find this video helpful? If yes, please hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and press the bell icon for new videos.